Well, you may have missed it on Monday of this week amidst everything else that's going on,
Yeah.
but the artificial intelligence bubble almost nearly popped
Yeah.
when news spread of a new chatbot developed by the Chinese, which apparently undercut all of the wildly expensive and environmentally destructive American-made artificial intelligence programs.
Yeah.
DeepSeek released a new version of its service last week, and while it's certainly big news for the tech industry when China releases a product that in many ways appears to be as good or better than their own products, but what was so unique and damaging about DeepSeek's latest release is that it tore through the narrative that you needed almost limitless energy production, brand new cutting-edge chips, and tens of billions of dollars in order to compete in the AI market.
Yeah, I thought that this was a multi-billion-dollar industry that everyone needed to get on the ground floor of, and for sure fund specifically Sam Altman.
It's been damn near impossible to get even on the waiting list for like the specific NVIDIA chips that these companies use. China was, for the most part, just completely boxed out of even the option to get those chips.
So they got creative.
So they just figured out a way to do it without those chips and without spending the exorbitant amounts of money that American companies like OpenAI have been paying for those chips.
And we should mention right out of the gate, for anyone that's new around here, we despise most of these AI models, programs, and chatbots. We obviously see the utility in some of the developments, at least more so than those godforsaken NFTs. But in general, we view AI as a clearly dystopian development that will make us all dumber, extinguish any remaining sparks of human creativity outside of profiteering, and is probably being developed and deployed intentionally to control the spread of information, because access to that information will only be accessible through one of these stupid fucking apps.
And we should be clear that we're talking about generative.
Yes, generative AI.
Specifically, AI has been around. Well, the real nerds will say AI doesn't exist yet, but machine learning and things of that nature have been around for a long time. It's powered a lot of our tech for decades at this point, and it's gotten better and better. And it's quite useful in ways that you don't even notice because, primarily because it's not claiming to do the work of a human for you. It's simply helping you do the work yourself.
Yeah, it's the way that this has been both marketed and specifically developed over the past 2 to 3 years that is very troubling. So yes, despite the clear, national security issues or whatever the concern is from top level people, it is quite funny to see all this bullshit blow up in everyone's faces.
Especially right after the whole TikTok thing. Too. They're beating us at our own game again.
And look, it's funny even if it's only temporary. Companies like OpenAI, Meta, X, and all the rest, they've been taking investors and the general public on a very expensive ride that, shockingly, only serves to benefit them. And having that narrative taken down almost overnight did provide a lot of schadenfreude.
A ride that, should be noted, a lot of people are on against their will because they have pension funds and 401ks, or even if you're just investing in a S&P 500 or especially a NASDAQ aggregate ETF, you don't have
just a bunch of people pushing their retirement accounts into someone else's hand at the roulette table.
I will say, I have multiple people who were like, Elliot, you got to sell that NVIDIA. And I checked and I was like, ooh, yeah, that's absolutely brutal, but I'm still up 2,000% because I bought that shit in 2017 when it was $5 a share.
No, it was a buying opportunity today. Yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot of tech speak about what this chatbot is and why it's such a threat to apps like ChatGPT. But we're going to try to break it down in the most simple terms for your average corn-fed American viewer. So American companies have been going on a spending frenzy trying to acquire GPUs en masse for their AI development. And for the past few years, including during COVID and the NFT craze, GPUs have been increasingly difficult for companies to get their hands on, specifically in numbers large enough to outperform and outdevelop their competitors. Take, for example, Meta, who just last year spent billions of dollars on GPUs from NVIDIA. All the other players in this AI arms race were on the same spending spree, building up a defense against competitors made entirely with NVIDIA GPUs, which resulted in around half of NVIDIA's entire revenue these days being a result of this AI boom. But a great time to be NVIDIA, and for whoever was behind the spending spree, it was a great time for them too, until the Chinese company released DeepSeek, and their latest release hitting the market like an asteroid hitting the Twin Towers.
Partial side note on this is one of the reasons, again, that they had to kind of get creative with using certain methods to make this competitive in the market was that I guess there was a ban or restriction on super high-end graphic cards being bought from China for these purposes.
Yeah.
So they really did just buy the cheaper versions that they were able to legally purchase and just use those to come up with this.
It is that, communist ingenuity. There is something to be said for it. Like, you go to Cuba, and these guys have been driving the same fucking cars for 60 years, and they run
and inventing
fantastic.
medicine, very important medicine.
Yeah, they make do.
It's the American capitalism that whole thing at this point kind of seems inefficient.
No.
I don't know.
No, it's the best. It's the best we'll ever have.
Essentially, though, in the simplest terms, DeepSeek's chatbot does exactly what everyone else's chatbots and image models do for a fraction of the cost, and while using much older, much simpler hardware to do it.
It's crazy that China would do something America does, but cheaper and better. How has this ever happened before? Has China ever disrupted an American market before in any product category? Has this ever happened? Was this predictable in any fucking way?
Yeah. Well,
oh, no.
It's a good thing we didn't spend nearly $1 trillion on this little adventure on the way.
Whoops.
Yeah. So the best explanation that we've heard to just lay this out in the simplest terms is on the 404 Media podcast this week. One of the hosts basically said, it's like the PS5 releases and it costs hundreds of dollars, but then a company is able to develop PS5 quality games that will run as smooth and as reliably, but on PS2 hardware that you might already own.
That's quite a difference in teraflops.
And by the way, that also this Chinese ChatGPT clone is open source. So you can build off
very communist of them to make this open source.
And going to cost you a whole lot less than even just using ChatGPT, let alone using it to build any kind of software.
Why would you use an unpatriotic AI chatbot when you could support American ingenuity and business by paying out the nose for the American equivalent?
The same reason all of those true patriots get all of their car parts, merchandise, and everything else directly from China, because it's cheaper, and they actually, when it comes down to it, they don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Well, according to DeepSeek, and of course you're relying on their word on this, they were able to recreate something that American companies have spent billions of dollars on, and they did it for less than $6 million. So just fractions of a percent of the American industry.
I didn't know it was that low. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
So with more on the finer details of all of this, here's Fast Company.
According to the company's technical report on DeepSeek V3, the total cost of developing the model was just $5.576 million US. Yes, that's million with an M. For less than $6 million, DeepSeek has managed to create an LLM model, while other companies have spent billions on developing their own. In training just GPT-4, OpenAI reportedly spent $100 million alone, Wired noted in 2023. This raises several existential questions for America's tech giants, not the least of which is whether they have spent billions of dollars that they didn't need to in building their large language models. The high research and development costs are why most LLMs haven't broken even for the companies involved yet. And if America's AI giants could have developed them for just a few $1 million instead, they wasted billions that they didn't need to.
Oh, whoops. I hope we could have maybe found something better for that money, but I guess we're just all out of ideas. And it does go without saying how infuriating it is to once again witness the tech industry just light billions of dollars on fire for no reason.
Yeah, it's a semi-annual tradition at this point.
While hunger, homelessness, and lack of affordable health care just ravage our country and others.
Well, homelessness, put those homeless people in a VR headset.
Not so homeless now, are you?
Not so homeless, because the metaverse is your home.
Well, cut to last week. DeepSeek's latest version, it is released. By the time Monday rolled around, it had already left a trail of chaos in its wake. The app is free to download, free to use on the web. It's shot to the top of the App Store charts. Again, a lot of this I feel like is just, there is now, because of the TikTok thing, this weird animosity just towards the American government and love of, or at least sticking it to them.
But ask DeepSeek about Tiananmen Square.
Okay, ask
DeepSeek about the Cultural Revolution.
I agree with you, but also think about the future when you ask the Trump administration about like the Tuskegee Airmen or like actually that's an actual good representation of our history. Think about anything bad that the country has done.
That's what getting rid of. They don't want us to like even acknowledge that there was like slavery and Native American genocide. And we have, our hands are pretty bloody too. And the leadership in this country, especially right now, has really gone out of their way to brush that all aside. So,
which goes back to my
glass houses.
That goes back to my other point of if you are very worried about the fact that this Chinese company is blocking information about, say, Tiananmen Square, take just a quick leap into the future when the only information you can find online is through an American chatbot and what that's going to tell you.
Also, I mean, like the average person using chatbots is not just using it to ask questions.
They're asking recipes. They're asking fucking recipes. And like how to take care of plants.
Yeah, the average person is never even going to cross their mind to ask the chatbot what happened at Tiananmen Square in
I just thought it was a cool poster
or whatever.
And for comparison, ChatGPT compared to free, which is this one, ChatGPT can charge upwards of hundreds of dollars a month. So pretty easy to choose if you're an average user who doesn't want to spend money on something.
The government's going to ban this shit like next week.
Post haste.
Yeah.
So they undercut the whole industry on price, availability, technology, and efficiency.
So this, of course, caused NVIDIA's stock to plummet when the markets opened on Monday, along with a bunch of other tech companies who spent the past year or so just hyping up their stupid board members and investors with this AI slop.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's the stock market, so it bounced around a bit since then. Even Tesla missed big on earnings and bounced back. So we have no idea. If we could predict the markets, we would be as wealthy as Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, but we'll get to Tesla's problems a bit later on in the episode.
Oh, it's fine, though. Like, they're going to be pulling in... Elon got an unlimited, infinite money hack with and all the new stuff he's rolling out. It's definitely coming any day now.
I don't get to it, but he did at one point was like, actually, it's safer to use the self-driving than it is without, because when people turn it off, they text and drive with their knees.
Anyway, the AI community in general seems publicly unbothered by this new disruption, and a few have even called this AI's Sputnik moment, which it's a reference to, the Russians, they got
surprised.
They got to space before us,
yeah.
But we beat them in the end because of our gumption. That's what they're talking about, and they're just saying this is basically a minor setback before we win the AI arms race.
Not just a setback. Now we need more money so that we don't lose. Yeah.
Which, like...
They're just going to...
Going to the moon was pretty cool. I think we can all agree on that. What is the end goal with this is you create artificial general intelligence, but like... First of all, I don't think that's coming anytime soon. Secondly, like that would be catastrophic.
There was an interview with I guess he's like a representative for Elon Musk that goes out on the news shows or something like that and was talking about the benefits of AI, and it was essentially just like it's gonna reduce the workforce. We're gonna have automated all of this coding stuff, and it's just saying it plainly like this is going to destroy jobs.
It's gonna be great for rich people and bad for everyone else, the vast majority.
So get on board, folks.
Yeah, like landing on the moon, that was something we could all get behind because
why not?
It's the moon, and landing on the moon doesn't hurt anyone except those Russians.
Yeah.
But this is like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, a lot of average people have become really reliant on this, which is disturbing. But,
it is funny,
I don't
though.
think
Just
the comparison is apt.
In a broad scope, is just a bunch of countries developing technology.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, that's obviously what's going to happen.
Right.
If we're doing that, everyone else is doing that too.
No! Unfair.
Mm-hmm.
But if you love a little bit of irony with more schadenfreude, it looks like Sam Altman's OpenAI is now claiming that DeepSeek stole their data.
What?
An AI company stealing?
No!
Which is crazy, because OpenAI stole everyone else's data.
Yeah.
So you could imagine our surprise when we heard Sam Altman was upset about this.
Yeah.
Hey. Come on.
So you're telling me an AI chatbot stole another AI chatbot's job by stealing its hard work and passing it off as its own? Like, excuse me while I type in a prompt for the world's tiniest robot violin to play for the entire broligarchy as their golden ship continues to sink. Here's Mashable with more on these shocking claims of stolen data. OpenAI and Microsoft are hitting back at DeepSeek. The companies claim they have evidence that the Chinese company trained their AI model by using data it had lifted from OpenAI.
Say it ain't so, DeepSeek.
OpenAI claimed to the Financial Times that it had evidence DeepSeek trained its AI by using OpenAI's models. Good. What the fuck are you going to do about it, bitch? Yeah, they stole it. What are you going to do?
They got you.
They got you. Bitch, they got you. They got your ass.
You got.
Yeah. According to Bloomberg, Microsoft also believes that an OpenAI developer account it believes is connected to DeepSeek stole large amounts of data late last year. Microsoft is a major investor in OpenAI, providing the company with billions of dollars in resources. OpenAI's Sam Altman previously said that the company spent more than $100 million to train GPT-4. DeepSeek says it trained its latest model, DeepSeek RI, with less than $6 million. Just to drive that home again.
Oh, it cost. Oh, you paid how much? Oh, that's crazy. Because DeepSeek over here, Slaps Hood, only cost $6 million.
Yeah.
But hey, yours is cool too.
Pretty cool. Hey,
I bet you're real proud of what you've done there.
Yeah, really nice.
In an interview with Fox News, President Trump's AI and crypto czar, David Sachs.
Those are the worst string of words I have heard so far.
David Balsachs he backed those claims, saying there's substantial evidence that what DeepSeek did here is distilled the knowledge out of OpenAI's models. Sachs said that it's possible that DeepSeek engaged in IP theft. What? As multiple outlets have pointed out, there is a sense of irony in the situation that OpenAI has found itself in with DeepSeek. OpenAI itself has been largely criticized for training its AI models off of, well, anything it could suck up on the internet. Many YouTube creators were shocked to find out that OpenAI used their content without consent in order to create its products. YouTuber Marcus Brownlee, for example, pointed out recently how OpenAI's video generation model, Sora, created a desk with a plant, just like the plant visible in his own videos, when he requested a tech review video be generated. And it's got him so mad, he's driving around in school zones going 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's the only
He's
way
pissed.
he's been. He's putting out wallpaper apps. He's speeding through school zones. He's battle testing that Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, did he get rid of his Cybertruck? I don't follow the guy at all.
I have no idea. I have seen less, but I think that might be just like my own brain doing the work. But yeah. Anyways, all of this is to say that in one day, this release obliterated $500 billion worth of value. But this is all made up anyway, and there are no rules or norms anymore. So I guess that's just what the news is now. Just $500 billion.
That's the way the news goes.
$500 billion, poof, gone in a single day after wasting tens of billions on projects that are going to destroy people's livelihoods so that they can have a conversation with their phone.
But hey, I'd like to hear what you would have done with $500 billion, big old genius.
Yeah, what would you have done? I
Hey,
don't know.
big brain, what would you have spent it on?
Environmental protections, feeding the needy, solving the healthcare
Sounds
crisis.
pretty lame, actually.
Yeah,
I think what
cure
I did was
cancer.
a lot cooler.
Hey, watch this. Boom. Pretty cool. And yeah, all of the tech execs, of course, they're trying to spin this. Actually, this is good. Hold on, everybody. Hold your horses. This is actually a good thing.
This is a real lean-in moment. It's time to pivot.
It's time to pivot. We start pulling out all those terms. This is good, though, because they say it's going to make things, of course, more competitive, and it's going to drive down prices and make things more efficient, which I'm sure was their goal the entire time. Nothing like driving down prices and making things efficient.
It's going to force you to drive your prices down because you have to compete with a product that's much cheaper than yours to run. And you are already not turning a profit, so you're going to be losing money on every single transaction.
Before even the stock market news broke about the full impact of this, Sam Altman was on Twitter being like, "We heard you loud and clear. We're releasing." He put out a bunch of new things, new perks for ChatGPT. So like, okay, buddy, too little, too late. But yeah, it really seems like everyone was intentionally being inefficient for a really long time in order to maybe inflate the value of what they were developing. As Ed Zitron put on his recent Substack, imagine living on $1,500 a month, and then imagine how you'd live on $150,000 a month, and you have to, Brewster's Million style, spend as much of it as you can to complete the mission of live your life. In the former example, your concern is survival. You have a limited amount of money and must make it go as far as possible with real sacrifices to be made with every dollar you spend. In the latter, you're incentivized to splurge, to lean into excess, to pursue a vague remit of living your life. Your actions are dictated not by any existential threats or indeed future planning, but by whatever you perceive to be an opportunity to live. OpenAI and Anthropic are emblematic of what happens when survival takes a backseat to living. They have been incentivized by frothy venture capital and public markets, desperate for the next big growth market to build bigger models and sell even bigger dreams.
Yeah, and Ed Zitron's basically Steve Carell in The Big Short, every week.
Sounding alarm
He's
bells.
just like, why is no one listening to me? Everything this company says is fucking bullshit if you even look just a little more deeply at it. There's no way this place is ever going to be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking everyone for a ride, and you're just going along with it.
It's like Molly White with the NFT stuff during the peak craze, where it just feels like they're ripping their hair out.
Yeah.
constantly.
I mean, it's not quite Theranos, but it's kind of Theranos.
Yeah. If they were working with blood, there'd be big issues. But since it doesn't even make sense, it's nothing that you can hold in your hand or look at.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, $500 billion. Let's go for it.
Anyway, Ed goes on to talk about how these large, massively wealthy American companies got lazy because they assumed no one could afford to enter the space, let alone compete.
Yeah.
When someone did, a perceived foreign adversary no less, they looked like bigger pieces of shit than previously thought.
Yeah.
His article's linked in the description below, but here's another great quote from it. Fat, happy, and lazy, and most of all, oblivious, America's most powerful tech companies sat back and built bigger, messier models powered by sprawling data centers and billions of dollars of NVIDIA GPUs. A bacchanalia of spending that strains our energy grid and depletes our water reserves without, it appears, much consideration of whether an alternative was possible. I refuse to believe that none of these companies could have done this, which means they either chose not to or were so utterly myopic, so excited to burn so much money and so many parts of the earth in pursuit of further growth that they didn't think to try. The narrative of this is the only way to build powerful models no longer holds water, and the only other selling point it has is, what if the Chinese do something? Well, the Chinese did something, and they've now proven that they can not only compete with American AI companies, but do so in such an effective way that they can effectively crash the market.
Well, yeah.
It's just a Sputnik moment.
Yeah, although you don't have to be a multi-billion-dollar company to get in on the AI hype train and then, of course, ride it to complete financial success with no hiccups, no bends in the track, no stops.
It's a guaranteed win.
Even smaller companies are getting in on the boom and finding out that all you have to do is tell really rich, really stupid people that you're developing some futuristic AI stuff, and they will happily hand you millions of dollars with very little questions asked. So take this couple, for example. Alexander and Valerie Beckman started a business that claimed to offer a next-generation chatbot that could be white-labeled for any major business or brand. They pulled something similar to that production company, Aussie Media, where they just lied about their audience, their reach, and, of course, their partners and clients.
Also, Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman did this.
And this is, of course, while robbing investors blind. Here's San Francisco's ABC7 with more.
A San Francisco couple was arrested Thursday after being indicted on 25 federal counts of fraud and other crimes relating to their artificial intelligence company, the U.S. Department of Justice said. The indictment against Alexander and Valerie Beckman was unsealed this week and alleges the pair committed wire and securities fraud, conspiracy, identity theft, and other charges. Alexander is the founder and former CEO of GameOn Inc., a private business that offers artificial intelligence software that mimics human interaction, commonly known as a chatbot, prosecutors said. Its customers included prominent American professional sports leagues and teams and leading luxury fashion and retail brands, according to the DOJ. The Beckmans are accused of raising $60 million from investors over 6 years, $4 million of which they allegedly used for personal expenses such as homes in San Francisco, payments to private schools, and money for their wedding. Hold on. $4 million, they managed to stretch that into all that? A home in San Francisco is like
they're good at
$3 million price floor. So.
Well, to be fair, with just a fraction, 10% of that investment, they could have developed something bigger and better than ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So who's to say, really?
That's the thing. I mean, $6 million over like
they got
half
60
a decade?
million.
Oh,
yeah,
60.
you know what? Take the $4 million for yourself, and then save us $56 million by giving it to the Chinese.
What, are CEOs not allowed to pay themselves now?
Yeah, I guess not.
I don't see what they did wrong.
Yeah. The indictment alleges statements to GameOn investors often described non-existent revenue, inflated cash balances, and fake and otherwise exaggerated customer relationships. Alexander allegedly used the names of at least 7 real people, including fake emails and signatures, without their permission to distribute false and fraudulent GameOn financial and business information and documents with the intent to defraud GameOn and its investors, prosecutors said.
Okay, yeah, those are all crimes.
Yeah.
You can't do any of those things.
The names allegedly used to commit the fraud included a GameOn chief financial officer, 2 bank employees, and an employee of a major professional sports league. Yikes.
Wonder which league.
The article goes into the potential. If I had to guess, I would just say the NFL or NBA.
Yeah.
Not my heroes over in the MLB who can do no wrong.
No.
Yeah. The article goes into the potential sentencing. And look, it's a laundry list of charges and potential time that they could serve. They're probably not going to serve that time, but they are facing an extremely long time, like decades in jail, if all this stats.
They'll be fine.
And they are very serious charges. And we're sure that this is obviously just one of the countless fly-by-night AI startups that may or may not be exposed in the near future, because it's literally just the Wild West right now, where hype and bullshit are at an all-time high while investors are just desperate to get on the ground floor of something they know nothing about. Is there any similarity that you're finding here to crypto and NFTs?
I was thinking more like tulips, but yeah,
Same.
those things too.
I literally sent the text in a group chat days ago where I was like, the Chinese invented a new tulip. All of my tulips are worthless.
But back to the broligarchy. It looks like Mark Zuckerberg is not done polishing Trump's shoes just yet, because Meta announced today that it would pay President Trump $25 million to settle a years-old lawsuit that he filed against them after his Facebook account was suspended following the Capitol riots. A small fee to stay in the tyrant's good graces that Meta is not only happy to pay, but will also barely notice.
Yeah, it's a line item on their budget.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Meta Platforms has agreed to pay roughly $25 million to settle a 2021 lawsuit that President Trump brought against the company and its CEO. Of that, $22 million will go toward a fund for Trump's presidential library, with the rest going to legal fees and the other plaintiffs who signed on to the case. Meta won't admit wrongdoing, the people said. Trump signed the settlement agreement Wednesday in the Oval Office. A Meta spokesman confirmed the settlement. Senator Elizabeth Warren said the following in a statement: "It looks like a bribe and a signal to every company that corruption is the name of the game. After Meta pays to play, what does Mark Zuckerberg expect as a return on this investment?"
Yeah.
And they're just doing it out in the open.
Yeah, seems pretty blatant. But over in the world of Elon Musk, we'll get to his first catastrophic failure in the Trump administration in just a second, but it looks like, based on their most recent earnings report, Tesla not doing so good. And that might have something to do with Elon Musk turning into the world's biggest piece of shit. Now, their earnings report and the comparisons to previous years, it also shines more light on just how much Tesla pulls in from government subsidies and credits. It's wild.
Handouts? What?
Here's the New York Times. Tesla on Wednesday reported a sharp drop in profit for 2024 as rivals in China, Europe, and the United States chipped away at its lead in the market for electric cars. The company, which is led by Elon Musk, said it made a profit of $2.3 billion during the last 3 months of 2024. That was a decline compared with $7.9 billion a year earlier. But 2023's profit included a one-time tax benefit of $5.9 billion. Tesla's operating profit, which excludes that special gain, fell 23% in the final 3 months of the year.
The company's revenue and profit were helped by $692 million in sales of regulatory credits to other automakers that need them to meet emission standards. A year earlier, the company generated $433 million from such sales. The Trump administration and Republicans in Congress have said they intend to repeal the regulations that allow Tesla to sell such credits. For the full year, profit was $7.1 billion, Tesla said, down from $15 billion a year earlier. Sales rose to $97.7 billion from $96.8 billion in 2023. Tesla also sells batteries used by electric utilities, businesses, and homes to store energy from solar panels and other sources. Increased sales of those products helped compensate for lackluster car sales.
And that's a very telling thing, too, because he dropped the prices of a lot of those cars and, of course, famously the Cybertruck. So it's wild to see that their sales are up, but the profit is not at all. It's just offloading a bunch of inventory, it seems like.
It's so ridiculous because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Ford, I'm sure if you looked at Ford's fucking operating revenues or whatever, it would absolutely dwarf this shit. But meanwhile, if you base if you base it on the stock market, Tesla is worth like every other American car company combined.
Yeah, because it's not a car company, it's a tech company.
Yeah, and you're investing in the future.
Well,
you buy the hype.
It seems like investors might be a little spooked by this and might also be worried that the leader of the company, who it relies on him personally for a lot of its marketing, is kind of a fucking piece of shit whose time seems to be quite diverted to other ventures, including the White House.
The nicest thing you can say about him is that he's polarizing as fuck.
Yeah.
He is very polarizing. Sir, there's definitely people that love him. A lot of people don't love him. And there's a lot of overlap between the people that don't love him and the people most likely to buy a fucking electric car. Did you ever think of that? I guess you didn't.
He's going to put out a gas model, isn't he?
That would be funny. You can now roll coal in your Cybertruck.
You just press a button and it shoots coal out of the back.
I mean, he'd probably sell a lot of those fucking things if he just replaced it with a internal combustion engine.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we've got that Elon and Trump stuff coming up next, including the general chaos unfolding in Washington and elsewhere this week. But first, let's take a second to thank today's sponsor, Factor. Are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto meals. Based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto, results will vary depending on diet and exercise.
With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. You can choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. And Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. You can reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. I am in full swing now that the air is not toxic anymore and we've had some rain. Full swing back into running training, and it has been very helpful to just have these meals dropped off and not have to think about this stuff.
It's been a big factor in your training.
That's right. I honestly love that they're a sponsor. It helps a lot. So you too can eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/newsday50off and use code newsday50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code newsday50off at factormeals.com/newsday50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on that first box.
All right, back to the news now. And remember, on our last episode, we talked about Trump's somewhat unexpected order aimed at freezing all federal aid programs and grants, which immediately halted vital services that take care of our most vulnerable population, and also stopped important research projects. It stopped military aid. It halted shipments of life-saving humanitarian aid, and more. He did a bunch of these things. This spending freeze was so broadly worded that all federal agencies and employees have been thrown into chaos since it was announced on Monday.
Do I have a job? Does this agency I work for?
Read the memo again.
I'm reading it.
It's like 3 paragraphs, and we were very clear.
We're still pretty confused.
So it's always good when you release an order and then immediately have to work backwards and clarify which vital financial support won't be halted.
Yeah.
So that's basically what happened in the hours that followed the release of the memo. And a day later, a federal judge temporarily blocked part of the plan, with U.S. District Judge Lauren Ali Khan saying the government doesn't know the full scope of the programs that are going to be subject to the pause.
Why are we doing this? You don't even know what you're doing.
Pretty similar to their order pardoning the January 6th rioters, only to find out that a bunch of those people are actually violent and unstable.
Wow.
How are we to know this? Turns out a whole lot of government programs and grants are really fucking important, and when they suddenly aren't there anymore, things very quickly descend into absolute chaos.
Yeah. So this massive freeze had Elon Musk sent all over it, especially the offer, the quote-unquote offer that went out to a bunch of federal employees.
What was the offer? Let me show you my dick and I'll buy you a horse.
No,
is that what he said to him?
We're gonna buy you out. That's basically what they said to him. Yeah. They sent an offer letter, very similar to the offer letter that a bunch of Twitter employees got.
The exact same thing.
Yeah, the wording pretty similar, and we'll get to that in a second. But just 2 days after making this monumental declaration, the Trump administration has completely rescinded it and just crawled back to the White House with its tail temporarily between its legs.
Our bad.
Hey, whoops. Whoops.
Let's all pretend that didn't happen.
That's what they're hoping for. Here's NBC News with more on this massive reversal. The Trump administration on Wednesday rescinded an order putting a widespread freeze on most federal grants and loans amid significant criticism, according to a new White House memo a source provided to NBC News. A senior administration official confirmed the rescission on Wednesday, which was ordered by the Office of Management and Budget. A federal district judge on Tuesday evening temporarily halted the initial order, which sparked chaos and confusion across Washington.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Wednesday that while the broad OMB memo was being pulled back, the administration's other efforts to halt federal spending would remain. This is not a rescission of the federal funding freeze, she wrote on X. It is simply a rescission of the OMB memo. Why? To end any confusion created by the court's injunction. The president's EOs on federal funding remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented. According to an NBC News review of Trump's executive actions since he took office, he never issued an executive order authorizing a blanket freeze of all federal assistance programs. When OMB rescinded the memo Wednesday, it technically rescinded the blanket freeze on all federal assistance pending review. Okay, so yeah, this is obviously reminiscent of the first Trump administration. Their plans and orders are poorly constructed, not really thought out. They're either based on flimsy legal precedent or just nothing at all.
Yeah, just vibes. Yeah.
They get shot down by the courts, but there's days of confusion and wasted time in the process. That's not to say they won't get away with a bunch of this stuff, but people, especially our representatives in government, need to stay vigilant. Way more than they are, I'd say.
Yeah. They're fine. Like I said in the past episode, they're getting the calls. They're responding and they're getting the words. They're like, yeah, they keep saying the things that you see circulating, like, we're gonna fight, we're in this together. And it's like, okay,
then fucking do it.
Yeah.
Adam Schiff's mailbox was completely full today because he's going up there and being like, oh, Trump's doing all these bad things, and then he's going and like voting yes on all of Trump's nominees, and people are like, which is it, Adam? Adam shit, who I did not vote for, by the way.
And by the way, there was a lot that we had to catch up on with the DeepSeek stuff, and we have weekly weird news coming up. And to get to those confirmations, day one of RFK Jr. was wild, and there is more coming.
A lot of great highlights.
We're gonna get that ready for weekly weird.
I don't know, like
the Bernie section where he brings up like the children's onesies that RFK is profiting off of. Like there are so many moments that were just like. First of all, it's very hard to watch because and then Cheryl sitting in the background, like when people were critiquing him, going, like, "Shut up, Cheryl! You lost all respect."
Yeah,
now.
I'm done with
you should have stayed in Europe partying with your friends.
Don't feel bad for you anymore, Cheryl. But back to the offer that the Trump administration presented to federal workers to resign with payouts, which might not even be true. And this offer is very similar to the offer that Elon Musk sent out to every Twitter employee once he walked through the door with that stupid sink.
Remember how funny that was?
What was that, 15 years ago?
It must have been. I could barely remember it.
It's at least nice to see legacy news outlets point out the fact that this has Elon's stink all over it.
Yeah.
And if for some reason you thought this was a benevolent offering from the administration and not a way to screw these workers, sorry, wrong.
Yeah.
Because the Federal Workers Union is now asking members to simply not respond to the offer at all.
Yeah, it's very risky to even acknowledge its existence.
Yeah, and it all goes back to the central problem with a lot of this is that Trump does not legally have the power to just say, I'm going to buy you out of your contract.
These budgets have been approved by the governing body.
It's not something the president can do.
But he's trying.
Yeah, Supreme Court said I could.
Yeah, they said I could do whatever I want.
They said it was fine, actually.
Grab him by the paycheck.
But first, here's the context regarding these resignation offers from ABC News.
The memo, which called for an end to working from home and dedication to more intense work.
Hardcore.
Yeah, where have I heard that before?
He's super hardcore.
Immediately sparked confusion among federal employees over whether they were expected to cease work if they took the deferred resignation or work remotely through September. A follow-up memo from the government said employees who accept the resignation offer would promptly have their duties reassigned or eliminated and be placed on administrative leave. The 4 pillars of change outlined in the OPM memo included returning to office 5 days a week and possibly facing physical office relocations, restructuring, or layoffs at the majority of federal agencies, and committing to excellence at every level of government, subject to enhanced standards of conduct. It mirrors the 2022 language Musk used when he asked Twitter employees newly under his purview to commit to being extremely hardcore and working long hours at high intensity.
Yeah, people were like sleeping on the floor. There was apparently the Twitter office. It stank. It had a real bad stink to it.
People hated him so much he needed bodyguards to use the bathroom.
Yeah, he was stinking it up in there too.
But also, it's essentially a threat as well. Either take the buyout, or your life could be fucked up. Your family, we might make you move across the country.
Yeah.
By the way, you're coming back to work full time. I know you've probably had a decent work-life balance over the past couple of years. That's gone.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, it's a lot of pressure on employees.
Yeah.
Especially when they aren't sure of the future. Like, are they going to have a job anyway?
Anyway, in response to this memo, the Federal Workers Union told their members not to do anything stupid, even though the administration intentionally put a small window of opportunity on it.
Yeah, they have to respond by Friday. So
here's The Verge with some reporting on that. American Federation of Government Employees, the AFGE, the union representing 750,000 federal employees, told members on Wednesday to not resign via an email sent to them by the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. There is not yet any evidence the administration can or will uphold its end of the bargain, that Congress will go along with this unilateral massive restructuring, or that appropriated funds can be used this way, among other issues that have been raised, the union says in its notice to members, a copy of which was obtained by The Verge. We are encouraging AFGE members not to resign or respond to this email until you have received further information and clarification. Separately, AFGE and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees announced they were suing the Trump administration over its efforts to make it easier to fire civil servants.
It is week 2. But yes, this next one, it isn't really tech related, but also, who cares? It's just a perfect example of the type of corruption and favors that will be passed down to loyalists over the next 4 years. Looks like New York City Mayor, New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
I hate rats.
He hates them. It looks like New York City Mayor Eric Adams doesn't have to worry about all those pesky corruption charges. Only after he flew down to Mar-a-Lago and Washington, D.C. and kissed that ring multiple times.
Cool.
Here's the New York Times. Senior Justice Department officials under President Trump have held discussions with federal prosecutors in Manhattan about the possibility of dropping their corruption case against Mayor Eric Adams of New York, according to 5 people with knowledge of the matter. Why would they do that?
That's fucking crazy, because the amount of evidence that they gathered, it is a pretty airtight case that at the very least should proceed to
taking
trial.
bribes from foreign countries.
It's not, you look at even just the bullet points of this case and you're like, this is not something that you just drop.
Also,
whoops.
Foreign countries misappropriating election funds paid for by United States citizens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of horrific accusations there that seem to be accurate. So the officials have also spoken to Mr. Adams' defense team since Mr. Trump took office, the people said. The defense team is led by Alex Spiro.
Oh, no.
Who is also the personal lawyer for Elon Musk, the world's richest man and one of the president's closest advisors. Mr. Trump has the power to pardon Mr. Adams, who, as New York City's mayor, could aid his plans for mass deportations.
So it's all federal charges that Adams is facing? I feel like the state of New York could probably pick things up.
To the Manhattan district attorney and everything. So they're figuring out a way to make this all work. And it seems like they're probably going to want something in return for his freedom and his ability to remain as the mayor and potentially run for mayor again.
Bring back the porno shops in Times Square.
Ugh.
It continues. In pushing for the case to be dropped, 2 of the people with knowledge said, Mr. Spiro has observed to department officials that Mr. Trump has criticized it. The 2 people said that the defense lawyer had also suggested that the mayor would not be inclined to cooperate with the president's immigration crackdown if he remained under indictment. Oh,
okay. Kind of spelling it all out.
In a statement, Mr. Spiro strongly denied that he had made any such suggestion. That is a complete lie. In recent weeks, Mr. Adams, a Democrat, has curried favor with Mr. Trump. He met with the president-elect near Mar-a-Lago, attended the inauguration, and has said that from now on, he will share any criticisms of the president in private. The 2 men, according to several people close to the mayor, have been in direct communication for weeks, speaking on the phone. This dude literally called Trump a white supremacist 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And look, this
is so
it's blatant. It's blatant corruption.
Yeah, and it's I guess, even if the charges go away, the stink of corruption just gets stinkier on this guy.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to face any real potential consequences.
I guess, but I don't see him getting reelected.
But yeah, it seems like blatant corruption, but it also reiterates the fact that Eric Adams is just a sad, lonely old man who just wants a friend. He wants someone to chat with on the phone at night. Now he
Yeah.
has Trump.
He wants an airline that's going to take him on just really roundabout trips around the world. He always stopping at that beautiful Istanbul airport.
You can't miss it.
The duty-free shop at Istanbul International is fantastic.
Yeah.
The baklava, the Turkish delight. Oh, baby. They got that Dubai chocolate. Very expensive.
You gotta love it. And it's perfectly placed. It's in between any destination that you can want. Hell, even Chile.
It's the global hub, Istanbul. It's where East meets West.
But yeah, I love that he's chatting on the phone with Trump because he was friends with that Turkish ambassador. Like the DOJ report was like he thought he was like really good friends with him. He was just chatting him up like a buddy. And now he's chatting with his pal Don on the phone at the White House. So it all works out.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, not to leave on a bad note, we don't have all the details about this yet because it happened right as we were about to film.
Yeah.
But there was a collision between an airplane and a military helicopter near Washington, D.C. this evening. We're sure there's going to be tons of information coming out about this, as well as rampant speculation and definitely lots of conspiracy theories. But it seems pretty bad, at least off of the initial things we've seen.
Yeah.
It also does drive home a point that maybe it's not a great idea to defund a ton of government programs and agencies, especially when those programs and agencies ensure the safety of citizens. Like we said in the last episode, a lot of these things, you don't even think about them.
Yeah.
But if they poof, disappeared, you
Big
notice
problems.
So just days ago, Trump enacted policies that directly affected the Federal Aviation Administration, their budgets, and their hiring practices, all under the guise of getting rid of DEI or whatever. As we explained in our last video, the chaos and confusion of these orders has caused many of these practices to grind to a halt as they figure out how to not run afoul of the Trump administration's broad decrees.
Yeah, because they look at like, oh, we can't do DEI, and it's just like, okay, well, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
we're processing applications. We're meeting with people like, if we give a black person a job, are we going to get in trouble even though he's qualified? Like that's, I think, a lot of the questions that they're asking now.
Can't let all these international airlines like China Air or even Hawaiian Air, can't let the plane land. It's woke.
Too woke.
I can't explain why, but it's just woke. There's something woke
Get
about
that woke airline out of here.
Why would you let a Chinese plane land on the runway when an American plane could have landed just as well?
That's right. Well,
so anyway, but yeah, this accident, it looks like a pretty terrible accident.
Yeah.
Does it have a direct relation to Trump's orders? Maybe not. It does paint a pretty clear picture of how vital most of our government agencies and their employees are, even if the general public or the president are constantly
not aware
of their importance, just completely oblivious to all the things going on behind the scenes that make shit function in a modern society.
Now, regardless, it is a horrific collision, and based on the information we had right before filming, it looks like it would be a miracle if there were survivors. It looks like it went into the Potomac, and very, very cold there right now.
Yeah.
Also, the video footage doesn't paint a very hopeful picture. But yes, it would be a miracle if people survived. But yeah, a truly awful accident, something that hasn't happened at this scale in nearly 2 decades.
Yeah, we don't have plane crashes very often, and that's good.
And a lot of credit due to our air traffic controllers and the FAA. I mean, thoughts are, of course, with the families and their friends. This is awful, and it's even worse that something like this could even happen. Again, we started filming right as news broke, so apologies for the lack of solid information. I mean, all of you surely know more about this than we do by the time you're watching the video.
Yeah, but somehow transition from that to much lighter news.
Yes, let's end the video on some lighter news. We are good. You can come see us in person at a show.
Answer for It, the live show that James Willems hosts on a monthly or so basis. It's a trivia comedy show.
It's a lot of fun.
It's going to be us versus 2 people from Smosh at the
Dynasty
Typewriter Theater in Koreatown, Los Angeles.
Beautiful.
On Sunday, February 9th, a day that all of our calendars are totally clear for.
Nothing to do.
Nothing else going on
Nope.
Sunday, February 9th.
That's right.
So if you want to come by in person.
Beautiful historic theater.
Tickets probably going to go fast, but also you can buy tickets to watch it. I believe it's $15
to watch it live.
To watch,
on a live stream.
to get a live stream link to watch it all go down. And
check that out. You can watch it live virtually or be there in person.
And I believe he had the virtual viewers actually get more input in the show than the people in the audience. I believe
there'd be a cacophony.
I think there's an interactive element as well.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to find out by purchasing a live ticket, either virtually or in person. Anyways, be sure to like the video. We appreciate it. Take your time. Click it. Thank you. There you are. We appreciate it. Now, leave a comment. Take the boxing gloves, put them on your hands, smash the keyboard. How the strong bad type with boxing gloves on his hands.
Boomer.
That's right. I did not install the light switch so the cheat could play light switch raves as I age in front of the camera. Now our other videos are popping up, so you can watch a younger version of us from just a couple days ago right over here.
Me with like 5 to 10 fewer gray hairs. This is the year. I'm going fully gray, baby.
We got a regular Johnny Knoxville over here.
Yeah.
He's embracing it.
It's going to happen.
All right, we'll see you soon for some weird news, including a lot of talk like that. Bye.
Bye.